Hello and welcome to the MyClayCo studio. I am Tegan and today we are going to be talking about perfectly prepping your polymer clay. Now this initial first step is so important because you might find that if you don't properly prep your polymer clay that you might end up with issues post-bake that either are difficult to fix or can't be fixed at all. So today we are going to be looking at conditioning your clay, what to do if you find that your clay out the packet is either too hard or crumbly or too soft and even sticky. We're also going to be looking at how to get rid of that pesky lint on your polymer clay, and I'm also going to show you how to get rid of annoying air bubbles. But first up, let's get our work surface clean. So for my first step, I like to clean down my work area with isopropyl alcohol. That will make sure that we get rid of any lint or dust particles that are lying around that may end up in our clay. From there, I normally get out my baby wipes and I will give all of my tools a good wipe down. That includes my work surface, which is normally a ceramic tile, as well as my roller, tissue blade, and anything else that I'm going to be using. Even if I've had them stored away and I think that they're clean, I still give them a wipe down because somehow the dust and lint just seems to find clay. Once I've got my work area and tools all clean, we're ready to get into conditioning. So once you get your clay out of the packet, you will need to condition it. Now, conditioning your clay just means basically working it so that you can get it to a workable consistency. My gauge that I've got it to a good consistency is generally that I can grab the sheet of clay and bend it in half and I don't get any cracking where I've bent it. Now, sometimes you'll get your clay out and it's almost ready to go. You just need to give it a little knead. Other times you'll get your clay out and you'll find that it's too hard and crumbly, or on the other end of the spectrum, it could be that it's soft and sticky. So let's talk about these two issues. First up, what do we do when we have hard or crumbly clay? Sometimes when you have firm clay, all that it really needs is just to be warmed up. I find this particularly with Cernert or Pardo clay that it really likes to be warm to get it going. Now, there are a few ways that you can do this. You can just simply knead it. You can also run it through a pasta machine. You can bash it with your rolling pin, which is a technique that I do sometimes use. Or the other technique is to get it warmed up a little by sitting on it or putting it in a warm spot. When I am first conditioning my clay, I like to cut it into thin pieces so that I can get that warmth not just on the outside of the clay, but all the way through. This is a little tip that I picked up from Made by Mayberry in her Domestica course, and it was a game changer for me with getting clay conditioned quicker and easier. If you get that warmth into it though and you find you still can't get it going, your hands are sore from trying to knead it, then it may be that you need some clay softener. Now, some clay softeners are those like the Sculpey clay softener or Cernert Magic Mix, that all you need to do is just add a couple of drops to your clay and you will find that that immediately does help with that hard or crumbly clay. I always just add a couple of drops at a time because I find if you add too much, you can go a little bit too far and you will find that your clay ends up oily. So err on the side of caution and just add a little bit at a time. Now, on the other hand, you might find that your clay comes out of the packet and it's really soft and quite sticky. So in these cases, you need to leach your clay. Basically, what that means is just drawing out those excess oils that are making it really soft and sticky. So all that you do is roll your clay into a sheet, put it between two pieces of paper, like copy paper, and you will find that the paper actually draws out some of those excess oils. Now, I find that sometimes this process just takes a couple of minutes. It can take an hour, it can take a few hours, but I do recommend that you regularly check it because you don't want to leach out too many of those oils. If you do end up going a little bit too far, what you can do is add just a drop or two back of the clay softener in, and that should hopefully get it back to a good consistency. I try not to mess with the makeup too much of the polymer clay, so I only do what is really needed. Okay, so we have our polymer clay perfectly conditioned. It's at a nice workable consistency, and when we bend it, you can see that it doesn't crack, it just perfectly folds over. Now we are ready to make sure that we don't have any lint or air bubbles in our clay. Now, if you do find lint on your clay, in most cases, there is a really simple way to get rid of it. All that you need to do is grab a little bit of your isopropyl alcohol, grab a cotton tip, and what you want to do is just dip that cotton tip in the isopropyl alcohol and then rub it gently over where you've got that lint, and you will find that it magically sticks to that cotton tip and comes straight off of your clay. It's really important that you get rid of any lint or specks of dust before you bake your polymer clay, because you may find that it's almost impossible to get rid of it afterwards, or you need to do a lot of finishing work to get rid of it. So you've made sure that your clay is lint and dust free. We then need to check for any of those annoying little air bubbles. Now, one tip that I will give you before I show you how to remove these air bubbles is that when you are conditioning your clay, you want to be really careful to make sure that you're not accidentally pushing air into your clay. So what I mean by this is when you are kneading it, that you're not folding it over so that it ends up with air pockets in there. Likewise, when you're using your pasta machine, if you do fold your clay over, you want to put the clay in fold down so that it can push any air up and out of the clay rather than getting trapped in there if you're to put it through the open-ended way. Now, these air bubbles do happen even if we're trying to be super careful to avoid them. So what do we do if we have air bubbles in our clay? The solution is simple. Grab your craft knife or your tissue blade, and you just want to slice through those air bubbles so that you can release the air that's trapped under the clay. From there, you'll be able to roll out your clay and you will find that those little air bubbles are gone. I hope you've enjoyed my video today on how to perfectly prep your polymer clay. If you do have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Just drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, please like and subscribe if you want to see more tutorials like this, and we will see you next time.